When it's time to go, you got to go. The Chiefs are in relaxation mode before it's go time for them, getting ready for training camp. Welcome in. It's RGR Football. It's a Monday night Q&A with my man, Dan Harms, and me, I'm Ryan Tracy. Thank you all for being here. You're going to run this show. You're going to give us your questions, and we're going to give you our answers as we get ready for this, kind of I'm bored out of my mind time before they get to training camp. They announced the dates. And so for us, the big thing is when they get there, what they start, how they get off to hopefully a nice early run. It's going to be the 21st of July, Dan. This is it feels like it's earlier and earlier every year because the rookies and quarterbacks are going to be in 4 or 5 days before that. Mm-hmm. So we're talking in the teens in July. It's nuts.
I can't wait. I'm excited because hopefully we'll be able to meet up this time at training camp. We've been unable to really figure that out. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But I know you guys are excited. We all, when the training camp schedules are released, it's like, oh man, it's here. We've waited since the end of the Super Bowl to watch football again, and it's just slowly closing in. We made it through free agency. We made it through the draft. We made it through almost made it through the dead period. And now it's time to almost watch the 2024 Chiefs. I honestly can't wrap my head around. The Super Bowl feels like it just ended. So I know we're all excited. I'm excited. And training camp's going to be another just fantastic showing because Andy Reid runs the toughest training camp in the NFL. Everyone knows it. So we get the best product of training camp.
Get them ready. Get them ready, Andy. That's all I got to say. It's been all smiles for the last 4 months, right? So let's just get after it, right? Cole, nice to see you. It's been a while.
Debatable.
Cole's one of our mods. Gary's one of our mods. They're both in the house tonight, along with a lot of our regulars. Nice to see you guys. Jeremy, Scott, Minotaur's in the house. James is back. Nice to see you guys. It's a relaxed, dead season kind of show, and we're going to go through your questions, maybe a little bit more in depth tonight. You never know what's going to happen with summer storms, so be prepared for my internet to get a little funky like it does, and we'll kind of go from there. But first things first, Steve, thank you. One of our member questions. Love to see you, man. Nice to have you with us. How can the Chiefs develop younger players in their receiver and running back rooms? I mean, it's about time and exposure, right? And the expertise of the guys that are coaching you. That's about it.
Well, there's a factor that most people don't know. It's the work ethic of the player. If the player doesn't have the work ethic to get better on their own outside of working with the team, they're not going to get better. A staff can only do so much. As we've kind of talked, I've learned more about the process of developing players and prospects and things like that over the course of the last few years. And really what it comes down to is you have to be able to put the work in on your own. You have to go into the offseason and figure out what your body needs, right? What do I need to do to make myself better at what I'm doing or what I'm being asked to do in this role? That's step one. Understanding your role is step two. What am I being asked to do by this team? And, well, sometimes that can be unclear. That's where the team can really help you out. If you're Sky Moore, for instance, you would assume you'd be helped out a little bit like you were your rookie season and put in space and got the ball in that way. And then they came into his second year and said, by the way, you're going to go play on the outside for 65% of your snaps. That's a no bueno. So that's another part of it. So you have to be able to put the work in on your own, but also you need to understand what's being asked of you to develop properly. And that more often than not doesn't happen. And it's why players fall out of the NFL all the time. It's why it's hard to get better. And it's hard to see guys take that leap. What we're seeing with Niko Collins with the Texans was they were like, you don't know what you're doing, but it's not your fault. You're big, you're athletic, you're fast, you can catch the football. Michigan did not use you properly. So it's going to take time to develop. Third year comes, gets the quarterback, and he's off. Sometimes it just takes longer. So there's a lot that goes into it. I would say the number one thing is you have to be able to put the work in on your own.
Yeah, you have a great point because you have to develop your abilities by yourself off season. Honestly, all the way down to the high school club level, we see the same thing in the sports my kids play at this point. When you're trying to make national traveling teams. You have to build your skill set in the offseason. Then the coaches can mold how you apply those skill sets to their scheme. So it's a two-phase. You got to be able to do the work, but then you got to do it the way they need it in the scope of, say, the offense in this case for running backs and wide receivers. So it's a marriage at that point. And I do think it's a little bit different this year. Connor Embry's still the wide receivers coach, but Porter Elliott, the assistant running backs coach to Todd Pinkston, maybe a little bit more time and honestly a little bit more attention to the running back group. Right now, without that vested veteran, that makes a lot of sense. You know, you have some experience in the wide receiver room. So if you had a priority right now, until you can get a guy to be in the running back room that has the experience to kind of lead them, it's got to come from the coaching staff. Once you apply whatever skills they bring back, and hopefully for Deneric Prince in particular, I'm very excited to see like what his acceleration looks like this season after year training and a year where he didn't have to carry the load. That's one guy that I'm having my eye on early in camp.
Yeah, he's going to have, honestly, any of these young guys, we're going to see what they look like. But the fact that he's here, had that 1 year that the other young players don't have, it's going to be very valuable to him. And honestly, not getting that opportunity that was there last year when Michael Pirine was given that opportunity and not him, we'll see how he responds to not giving that. How did he work this offseason? What's he look like in training camp? And how is it mentally affecting him? So that's something that we're going to get to see firsthand. And there's quite a few like second-year players that I'm going to be having my eye on in camp to see mentally how locked in they are. Because at the end of the day, for these training camp periods, you have to be locked in and engaged mentally to get better and to show out in camp and then get those reps in the preseason.
Got to make the most of every chance that you get. And you might only get 7 reps in a given period. You got to make the most of them, right? I'm totally with you. Who can step that up and keep their mental focus when it's hot and you're ragged and you're just starting to break down after the first week or two? It gets really challenging. Not as challenging as getting a free membership to this channel, thanks to Minotaur, because he's going to take care of that for you. So, buddy, appreciate you spreading the word. You guys can always upgrade. You're going to get the base entry level so you can have more fun here in the live streams and that kind of thing. If you want the behind the scenes content and all that, go ahead and upgrade to Rookie and you'll get all that as well. Minotaur, thank you for spreading the word, buddy. You are our own evangelist. I appreciate you. Jeremy, should the Chiefs just cut bugs and not deal with the issues? Where are you at on this, Dan?
Yeah, 100%. You got 2 issues now, outstanding warrants, got issues not showing up the first time, apparently, to whatever it was happening. Obviously, animal cruelty is that whole situation is a little tough to parse through because he's reporting, there's like a report out there that it wasn't him. Like we haven't heard anything else about that whole situation. But when you compound animal abuse with domestic violence, it all starts to make more sense. So for me, it's 100% cut and say goodbye.
I'm 100% with you. Just cut ties now. Because if nothing else, it shows you that after all of the first instances back and forth, and yes, I know there's multiple reports. I'm not saying he did or did anything.
Correct.
But the fact that you're trying to fight that perception and then you go out and do something else that's stupid, that's just compounding the effect. So I have no time for you. We don't have time for you to be on this roster and be a distraction. So get out the door. Jeremy, I think we're both with you. And I would like to know, you guys put your comments in the chat. Who's with us? Would you rather see Bugs go or would you rather see him stay? Scotty, what veteran signings would you see as likely between now and week 1, meaning all through camp, including cutdowns, which I think is going to be very, very pertinent this particular season? Running back, we already talked about. I think that could be a possibility. And again, D-line, they just signed a tryout player on the D-line, probably because of this bug situation. But what else, or A, do you agree with those? And B, what else would you like to see?
Yeah, I think I 100% agree with both bringing in some defensive linemen, and I think Jerick McKinnon most likely will be here. It kind of makes sense given their needs at running back. But I'm also, I feel like Donovan Smith is going to end up back on this team. Like, I just don't see a lot of experience and depth behind the Chiefs tackles. And that's a problem. So even if Donovan Smith is not going to be starting for you, which is true, he won't be starting for you.
Likely. It's
all about the mentorship. It's all about how are you going to help these young players, Wanya Morris and Kingsley, develop and have that veteran in the room. if they're both vying for a left tackle position, they've never really done it to a high level at the NFL. We're going to talk about Wanya Morris on Wednesday. I'm doing a whole film review for him, getting ready for training camp battle that he's going to have with Kingsley. So I think that he makes the most sense. There's probably going to be a defensive signing somewhere, but I don't really, outside of defensive tackle, I can't really think of who it's going to be. But I would guess at corner would be my guess.
I'm interested to see if they try to work trade. They got a lot of DBs that they could move out for less, more needy teams with less talent in the defensive backfield. I don't know. It could go either way for me. But I do like both those positions. And the sneaky one for me is going to be, if you feel you're going to have to play 4 linebackers and this kickoff thing is more important, maybe you're looking to get bulkier at linebacker. Maybe you do something like that. Because I think you can have a true thumper on the free market here pretty easily if you feel like that's going to help your special team. So keep an eye out for that, everybody. And maybe we'll see a signing or two before they go to camp just to try things out. But Daryl's a month away from 3 years supporting this channel with his membership. We appreciate you, buddy. Been here a long, long, long time. You're the man, and we appreciate you. Everybody give him a hand because that's a hell of an accomplishment.
Awesome.
Frankie just did that like 2 weeks ago. Like, we are all in for all of this stuff. As we are for Tyrone. Nice to see you, pal. In Indonesia, I don't even know what time it is there. So
that's
cheers.
Awesome.
I wanted to get you on the show right away, buddy.
That's so cool.
But it's nice to see it. That is. I mean, Chiefs Kingdom is now truly a worldwide thing. And especially whether all those of us who've been in line or traveling, I appreciate you. And shout out to everybody, and you in particular, buddy, in Indonesia. Appreciate you being on. That is freaking cool. I
always love seeing the different countries that we get into. Like, that's just such a cool feeling.
Absolutely. Scott, which reserves are most likely to be a training camp trade bait? What do you think, man, if you had to pick somebody?
Oh, man, reserves, trade. There seems to always be somebody, right? It does feel like maybe, I don't know, maybe Darian Kennard, possibly, if he can show something as an interior prospect for another team, you might be able to trade him away. I'm
pretty sure he already signed elsewhere. Yeah.
Oh,
Kennard
really?
is not currently on the roster. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Look at
that. Hey, that's the way it goes sometimes, right?
Yeah.
The guy that I don't want to see get traded away is Cup, the tight end kid. I'm really interested in him. I'm just looking at the roster here, and if it doesn't work out for somebody like Christian Roland Wallace, who I think had some flashes, but maybe didn't quite feel that. Trey Dean had some OTA moments. I don't see him as a long-term solution here. So maybe he gets some trade bait looks, that kind of thing. It's going to come down to a situational fit. And I honestly don't know. Watch for veteran injuries. The safety market's a little bit tough because, correct me if I'm wrong, unless I missed it in the last few days while I was traveling, Justin Simmons, an all-pro, is still out there on the open market ready to be signed. So who knows what's going to happen with the safeties. It's nuts. Let's see. Do you think we'll carry 3, as in Pacheco, Clyde, and LRZ, or do we need an actual third running back? You actually need a third running back, in my opinion. I might even be tempted to go 5, to tell you the truth, only because of that special teams factor. Dan, do you think that's overkill?
I think it's a little bit overkill. Also, we have new information from the Chiefs team is that they're not even really playing him at running back. He's basically not getting any reps at running back. He's a specialist on kick team, not playing very much anywhere else. You can't count on him making the roster at anything other than a special teams place. He's not giving you anything else right now. So you can't just plug him in as a running back and be good. You need that's why we're talking about Jerick McKinnon possibly coming back. It makes the most sense to this team and what they actually need right now.
Yeah. And if that's the case, I don't think the third running back is necessarily on this roster yet. I'd like to see Prince take a step forward. You guys know that I would love to see like a power back like Steele who could do a little fullback, little tailback if he had to. I don't know if the Chiefs want to do that. So the third running back this season might not be on the roster yet.
It's very possible. There's going to be some cut downs, and running backs get cut like nobody's business. So it wouldn't shock me at all.
That is for sure.
How was your Father's Day, Ryan? Before we get
Day
going, like, how was your Father's
yeah,
Day?
my Father's Day was a little bit all over the place. I've got a kid attending Air Force Academy this summer for some camps, so I had to deliver down there. I bet you probably enjoyed that one. I got
Yeah,
to
it's
go
cool.
through the chapel and whole 9 yards, so good time. She's camping out down there, so it's a lot of running around on what a weekend should have been relaxation for me. But one thing that I did get to do, which I always enjoy, and I swear at some point I'm going to get better at it, was I picked up this Black Ops driver thing, and it was great. If you guys are looking
Oh,
for your new sport, I am looking for a new sport. I'm not as experienced as Dan. Let me tell you, this is the way to go, and you can get a fitting right now. We're going to tell you all about it right here. My golf buddies tell me all the time that nobody makes golf clubs like PXG, period. And you know what? They're right. I went in for a fitting and I saw for myself. I wanted to check out this Black Ops driver that my buddy just got. Total game changer for him, but I'm a newbie. So I wanted to check it out and maybe get some instruction along the way. The fitting does it all for you. Make sure that the experts see how you move, analyze your swing, whether you have a good one that's established or a beginner one like me, and give you feedback in real time on how to improve. That's the name of the game for me. And it also has to come in at a price. If you're thinking the PXG's high performance equipment is too expensive, their clubs often come in at less than the so-called leading brands, and they're worth checking out. They made me a believer at PXG. They'll do the same for every golfer in Kansas City. Visit pxg.com/RGR, and you can go schedule your fitting at PXG Kansas City right now. It's at 7517 West 119th Street in Overland Park. You can get fitted for any club, and they're going to give you a dozen balls for free. That's pxg.com/RGR to schedule your fitting. pxg.com/RGR. Limit 1 dozen balls. Promotion ends on June 30th, and terms and conditions do apply. See the store for details. I think you guys are super going to dig it because I did. Dan, have you played with yours yet?
no, I have
Or
not because
you
I don't
carry
have
them around.
one.
You have a full set, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I
You have
bought
the
my
full set,
irons.
right? I just had the one club.
Well, yeah, I bought my irons through them. I don't have a driver yet, but I'm also going to be getting my putter from them because we fitted the putter. And I tell you what, that Max, the gigantic grip on the putter, I was just in love with that thing. You guys, if you go watch the U.S. Open this weekend, Bryson DeChambeau, who won, was holding a putter with this gigantic grip on it. That's pretty much what I felt comfortable with when I went to get my fitting, and it was really, really cool. So did a lot of watching the U.S. Open this weekend, but yeah, that fitting was just a ton of fun. Really, 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 really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. At some point when I can actually, produce a swing that looks decent, we'll actually play together. I'm not ready to do that yet because you'll just embarrass me. So give me some time, folks. But you can get good like me if you want. We'll go do this together. It'll be great. I'm going to jump the line just for a minute. Usually we go in chronological order, but I want to say hi to Travis because Travis, your neighbor Dale Jones, old Daryl, saying hi. I appreciate that, and give him my best
Nice.
beats. And if you guys are in to barbecue, go find Daryl Jones in a spot where you can find him. I don't have the address currently, but I'll get that here in the next week, Big D. Yes, he's an old friend of mine, and love the show. Thank you, Travis. Appreciate you, and give the man my best. You probably need to pour him a beer while you're doing it. Just saying. This is the question we're going to talk about all week, all month, all training camp. I mean, literally until the day they take the field. I have a feel for it, but I'm mostly projecting. What do you think happens with the left tackle spot? Like, and not just the starter, but on down.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I can't give you guys. I can't give away my Wednesday video. Like, we're going to talk about Wanya Morris. We're going to talk about the camp battle. I'm not going to give away my hand, but I will say that this is I think this camp battle is going to be tougher than I expected it to be. I'm going through Wanya Morris's tape right now. It's very up and down. We'll get into it. We'll get into all that stuff, but there's a lot more to this than just, Kingsley's the guy, because I do think he's right now got the head up because of everything we talked about with the wanting to trade up to go get Kingsley, the wanting to go get a left tackle. But at the end of the day, this is a battle. It's not we're giving you the job. You have to earn it. So at the same time, there's going to be a lot of, how are you guys doing each and every single day? This is a battle that not just us, the coaches are going to be watching every single day and nitpicking all the time about what these players are doing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm sorry I can't give you an answer right now. You're going to have to wait till Wednesday to see how I feel about it.
Well, there's also a tie-in here, but first I want to say, Brenda, nice to see you. Thanks
No,
for being here. And
thank
I
you,
know how
Brenda.
you feel because the interweb is the devil itself. So we're always dealing with that. But tie-in back to Wanye is Ozzy was talking about him working at guard at some. Do you think he's the planned replacement for Trey, or is that more Norzad or Hansen? I don't know. I feel like they ought to. I feel like they want to try to push to keep Trey and Creed together. So I think if anything, it's insurance against Joe Tourney's retirement, whether that's now, next year, 2 seasons from now, whenever that is. I do think it's also something that Wanya needed adjustment time, and I think a battle is good for him as it is for Kingsley. I think Kingsley, for the record, folks, I think Kingsley wins this out, and I like the idea of Wanya as the swing guy behind him, whether that's at guard or at tackle. And to your point earlier, Dan, if they were then to bring in a veteran like Donovan to be like case of emergency, go in at either side and just what you're doing, I love that even more. And letting Wanya play inside at guard might be the future for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, one of the big things about Wanya coming out is that he's powerful, and it shows up. He is very, very powerful. I think he could also withstand to put some pounds on. To be very honest with you, he's a little light for his size. Like, put on a little bit of weight there, and I think that he'd be a very, very good guard. So I'm not surprised he's getting run there, especially with you have to have a contingency plan. Chiefs are thinking a year ahead, and that shows good wherewithal about where they're at their roster.
Yeah, I agree with you, folks. Jeremy, I'm glad that you had a good Father's Day. We certainly did, and it's nice to hear from you on that. And for everyone else, I want to point out, Jeremy is one of our old dogs around here. 3.5 years in the membership, supporting this channel. Jeremy, you just got into the top 5. If you didn't realize that, Gooch is still in the lead. Gooch was like one of the first members, and he's maintained it. But yes, it is great to see you, and I'm glad that you're back. So thanks for that. And I'm glad that you had a good holiday. I certainly did as well. What do Sky and Tony have to do in order to get cut? Keep dropping the ball. Just keep doing it. That'll happen.
It's not funny, but it's funny. It's yeah. I mean, Tony showed up to OTAs, but I mean, if he doesn't mentally show up to camp, I just don't see how you'd let him make this roster. And Sky, I will hold true, and maybe I'll go down on my sword with this, and that's fine. I think that his best role and the best way to use him is in the Rashee Rice role. Like, I will say that as long as he is on this roster, and if Rice is suspended, which again we don't know anything new, there's been no new development in that situation. Right. If he's missing time in the regular season, I think that's what he should be doing. Force feed him those targets, maybe not all, like tons of them like he was getting, but those are the targets that he should be getting to get the most out of him.
We're on a little wide receiver run here, folks. And Jay, I'm getting to you here shortly. The Chiefs cut Tony. Do you think he'll be successful with any other team different? No, I think he'll be a better rapper than he is a receiver. Ooh. I'm just telling you. You need a third team to prove that? I don't.
No.
Not me. Jay, thank you, buddy. Appreciate the support. Woo. Coming back to you. He's got it like this. Hollywood number 1, Worthy number 2, Rice number 3, Watson, then Tony, then Ross. So he has Moore nowhere on this list. I think Moore is still ahead of Ross. I will tell you that. And I think I can agree with you pretty much across the board, except for the fact that if Rice is not suspended, if there's only 2 receivers on the field, it will be Rice and Hollywood, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. That makes all the sense in the world. And I agree. I don't think Ross is making this roster. And he's done nothing to suggest he should, to be very honest with you. And Watson's a better receiver than he is. And that would be the role he's taking. He wouldn't be able to perform it at Watson's ability, which, being honest with you, you guys watched my video from last week. You know, he was incredibly impactful. He was like top 5 in terms of routes gained on corner routes. He led the Chiefs in deep field receiving yards. Like, he did all those things, and he's not going anywhere. So Ross is probably on the outside looking in.
I'll say this too. There is no guarantee that Kadarius Toney makes this roster.
No,
If
I
Niko
agree.
Remigio can do 80% of the things that he does and do it consistently, I think the Chiefs will take that bet.
I hope so.
And here's the last twist I'll say on this, Jay. Again, thank you for the 20 spot. Appreciate you. I'm talking about week 1 right now. If Rice is suspended for, say, an 8 game, then I think your top 3 here is actually accurate, because I think in that time, I think Worthy, impressed into service early, will adapt to the offense and become the number 2 right away. Because they'll need someone to do it. And nothing against Justin Watson. I think he's played some good snaps for this team. He's had some problems for this team. He's a solid guy, but I don't think he's ready to be a number 2. He doesn't scare enough of the league, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Like, he's a great number 4 receiver, and that's what he should be on this team. In my opinion, if Rice gets suspended and Worthy does exactly that, when it comes back, it should be Hollywood, Rice, and Worthy. That's what it should be, in my opinion, 100% of the time.
Totally
not 100%, because they can't play 100% of the snaps. But you know how I'm.
Nobody can. Nobody can. I mean, and we'll get into all the permutations, especially when you add in the tight ends as well. But Jay, again, thank you. Appreciate the support, pal. Hope you're doing well. Cole, nice to see you back, pal. Going on the possibility that Rice is suspended week 1. Do you see Phillip Brooks making the roster? I don't see Tony on the team this year. I'm with you. It's definitely a possibility on Tony. I have trouble seeing Brooks make the 53, but I do think he's a practice squad candidate. Dan, do you see something more than I do?
Oh, no, I don't think so. You can't really expect, especially where the Chiefs are at in their wide receiver room, with being really excited about Remigio drafting Worthy, bringing in Hollywood Brown, to expect that he's going to be there, So it's tough to do it. But practice squad development guys are essential, especially with how the league is changing with the return stuff. Like, you can always find ways to get yourself onto the field if you can carve out a role as a return guy. Like, it's becoming more valuable now.
Yeah. And just to go back, since we're on the wide receiver thing, to Jay's one more time, one thing we both forgot, Jay, McCole Hardman. Because I think he can beat out Tony.
I forgot he was brought back, to be honest with you.
Right?
I completely forgot he was brought back. Jeez.
So your top 3, absolutely. Second 3, Watson, probably Hardman ahead of Moore right now, and Tony. And then you have Remigio breathing down their necks. If they only keep 6, you might not see Tony or Moore on this roster.
I will say, there is no guarantee, in my opinion, that McCole Hardman makes this roster. Like, there's none in my mind, because especially you've got Hollywood, you've got Worthy, and Watson. All 3 of those guys have speed. All of them do. Mm-hmm. And if they can be more trustworthy down the field, which they all absolutely can, than McCole Hardman, he offers not much in that regard. So it's not worth having him. So there's no guarantee for me that he makes this roster, even if Rice were to miss some time, or this injury that I'm sure we'll talk about is nagging.
I agree with you, but I do see more Tony, Hardman, Remigio fighting for 2 spots.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, with you. And Cole, I'm with you on Tony there. I wanted to go back to that. Des, thank you for the support, brother. Appreciate you. There hasn't been a QB since Elway that lost their first Super Bowl and still went on to win one later. Which QB that lost their first do you think will break the trend? Burrow, Hurts, or Purdy? You go first.
In my opinion, the only answer to this question is Brock Purdy, and it's not because of Brock Purdy. It's because of the roster in San Francisco. Burrow is not a good playoff quarterback. He's not, and we've seen it. The Chiefs should have ran away with that football game, and they just, I don't know, were twiddling their thumbs in the second half. But Burrow was not impressive. He nearly threw 2+ picks in that game, and he also saw him in the Super Bowl where he didn't look very good. I don't think in any other playoff game going forward, if the Chiefs play Burrow, they win that football game. I don't think that there's any shot. The Chiefs had their worst team under Patrick Mahomes last year from an offensive perspective. It's not happening. Sorry. It's just not happening. Hurts, I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles are getting back to the Super Bowl. I don't care how good your offense is. That defense isn't very good, and I don't believe in Jalen Hurts. They also brought in an offensive coordinator that makes no sense for what they want to do. They love checking the football down at with the Chargers and then the Cowboys a few years ago, where Kellen Moore was, and the two things that they wanted to check the ball down and throw it over the middle. Jalen Hurts does not do that very well. I don't know if this is going to work out. So the only answer for me is Brock Purdy.
I have a little bit more faith in Hurts than you do, and that's perfectly fine. I think track record, you're probably more on point. I just have a feeling I think he can raise his game, but I agree with you completely. Not in that style of offense. And I think everyone is completely underestimating, even though he was ancient, Jason Kelsey's retirement is significant in being able to move the ball like you want to. So I agree with you. I think they're kind of out of it. I don't see them pushing very hard. I agree with you on Burrow as well, and I agree on Purdy. I know that Ayuk is wanting out, and he's saying the team doesn't want him and all that stuff. But in the end, he's going to play in San Francisco, at least till October. And Purdy has the best supporting cast all the way around. It's really not very close in terms of who will get a chance to actually break that streak. Maybe not on their arm. You know what I mean?
The funny thing about this whole Brandon Ayuk situation, everyone was like, when they drafted Ricky Pearsall, oh, that means Deebo Samuel's getting traded. No, that's not what that means at all. That means that Brandon Ayuk might get traded because the skill set he replaces is Brandon Ayuk's skill set. It's not Deebo Samuel's. Ricky Pearsall is like what Brandon Ayuk was coming out. Uber athlete, runs really good routes, and he gets open. Like that's what he was. Granted, Ayuk didn't understand a total amount of route running at, I believe it was Colorado that he played at, if I'm not mistaken. He was this like Swiss Army. No, that was Chenault.
Yeah, that was Chenault.
Ayuk was Arizona State. That's what it was, because he played with Jaden Daniels. Yeah, he played with Jaden Daniels. So yeah, there's just no.
Wait, so he was Pearsall's teammate then? Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, Pearsall was at Arizona State for a while too.
I don't know if he was there when Brandon Ayuk was there, but I know that Jaden Daniels was, because this is what Jaden Daniels' fifth year in college. So
7th year, whatever.
Something like that.
Now I gotta go look up years. Dang it! Now I need to know. Guys, thank you for the support, buddy. Appreciate you as always. And I'm just gonna stick with the wide receiver topic here for a minute. You guys, Kev, I'm coming right back to you in a minute, dude. As hyped as I am over Worthy, it's kind of hard to not feel like he and Hollywood's skill sets overlap. Do you think that they can actually complement each other? You're absolutely right that their skills overlap, but they definitely complement each other, because it's one of those deals. If you have speed and now you have more speed, it's even harder for defenses to deal with you, because now you can flood zones, you can attack outside, you can put safeties into position where maybe not just one safety, maybe two safeties, maybe three if they're playing deep zones, can't get to where they have to be because of that speed. So you put McColl and you put Watson on there. If you had any more speed, I don't know what the hell anybody's going to do. But it's never a bad thing to have that overlap when it comes to downfield speed.
Yeah, and I think that we understand that Hollywood, at least at this point, is a better identifier of zone and route runner underneath than we can expect Xavier Worthy to do right now. Like it's not reasonable to expect him to come in and be what Hollywood Brown has developed into. And for all the injuries, he's still an NFL receiver who's been doing it longer. So they will complement each other. They'll open up space for each other. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want to open up space for each other and then everybody else.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Matt, is this me? I don't know what this is, but this used to be Jake. So Jake, how you doing?
This is Jake.
40 months. Again, another 3+, almost closing in. I'm impressed, and thank you very much, dude. Nice to see you. Early thoughts on Niko Remigio. I would love to see him earn the wide receiver 4 spot and take it from Jay Watson. I think that would be really intriguing. I see that as a very long shot. I think just making the roster, even if this is the 6th, I think is a great accomplishment for Niko for where he's coming and given the injury. But from what I've understood from the beat reporters that are out there that I've spoken to, there's been several of them, he's not just fit and recovered from the knee injury. He's more explosive than he was last year. He has more lateral acceleration as well. And that means you trained well when you were doing your rehab. You've gotten yourself prepared, and you added some explosiveness on top of it. That's dedication. And like Dan was talking about earlier, that is that willingness to put in the work away from the field in order to get better. And I think that deserves a roster spot. As long as he does the mechanical pieces of catching the ball, I think we're all good there. And from what I understand, he's made 0 mistakes this offseason to this point. Do you think he can get the 4th spot, though?
The 4th spot's going to be tough. I think that he's, like we talked about, in competition for the 6th spot. Like, I don't think he's going to be the 5, but he can make 6. And again, when you're putting the work in and other players are not putting in the work, cough, cough, that gets you noticed by a coaching staff. It just does. So again, like Ryan was talking about earlier, if he's 80, 85, closing in on 90% of what Kadarius Toney provides, he should be making this roster. Like, I don't see a world where he doesn't. And also, you were right. Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall played together at Arizona State when Ricky was a freshman and Brandon Ayuk was a senior. So
okay. Hair in my chinny chin chin there. It is what it is. I get to be lucky every now and then. But thank you, Jake. Appreciate you. And for 40 straight months, appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
So
Love
much.
seeing
Thank
this
you
from you guys. That is so awesome. Thundarius, nice to see you, buddy. Working on 4 months on the road, pal. Wednesday is my birthday. Well, happy birthday, dude.
Happy birthday, man.
Driving through Kansas at that point, so it should be fun. Are you going to camp, and if so, when? I always aim for the week directly after the first preseason game. So you see who's doing well, who didn't, et cetera, what the changes are. Tough for me this year because school starts in that same week. So I might have to push it earlier. I might have to push it where I only spend a day instead of my usual 3 days at camp. So I'm still aiming for that area, Dan. What about you?
Honestly, it depends. I'm trying to figure out some things on the inside right now. Our buddy Matt Derrick is gonna try to help me get some things done behind the scenes so I can do some, I guess some better work my last year in the Kansas City area. So hopefully I'll be able to get to some training camp, maybe preseason game, try to get some coverage of things and see what we can do. So I like to go to training camp around the end of July, but since in early August, but since it's kind of going a little bit earlier, we'll kind of just see how it goes. We haven't really nailed the plan down yet. Since the dates just dropped today, we can really take a look at that and figure it out.
Yeah, I got to take a deeper dive on it myself. That's for absolutely sure. Thundarius, nice to see you, buddy. And thank you again for being with us on this ride. Kev, nice to see you, pal. Thanks for the support. Thoughts on Brady's view of on there not being many field generals, I think you meant, in today's game. I hadn't heard him say that, but now that he does, I think I can see that. Because to me, what's your version of a field general? Because to me, it's command of all 9 zones beyond the line of scrimmage, in my opinion. Not just the deep ball, not just the intermediate. And there doesn't seem to be as much well-rounded quarterbacking going on right now.
Yeah, I think that Brady is trying to kind of distinguish the differences in eras, which this is a different era of football. It's the athletic quarterback era. That's what it is. If you can't get out on the move and scramble, it's going to be tough for you. It's just not the same. Baker Mayfield was drafted because of his arm and downfield throwing ability from the pocket. He is not a mobile guy by any stretch of the imagination. Right now we're seeing Russell Wilson, who was more athletic early, has developed that's gone away, and he's forced to be a pocket passer, and he's not very good at it. So he's also on the shorter end. So if you can't see over the offensive line, or you can't actually get out and make things happen on the run, it's tough for some of these quarterbacks. Joe Burrow is probably the closest to it, and he's gotten better at scrambling, at seeing those areas that he can get out and get yards with his legs, because the quarterback scramble has become the most efficient play in the NFL. And it's not even close, to be very honest with you. It is. If you cannot take advantage of the lanes provided to you, you are hurting your team. Defenses are too good. They play too good of zone. They pass off better than they ever have. And if you can't take advantage of those times that they go man coverage and turn their back to you and run, it's just so much harder now. So I agree with him, but we also have to distinguish. It's a different era. It's an era of the athletic quarterback, and that's what this is. It's not field generals doing what they do and commanding, and just there's not many of them to be able to succeed. It's a different era altogether.
Yeah. I think one team that you're probably going to be familiar with this concept that might be bringing that back is due to how much play action they're going to run.
It's not going to work.
And that's the Chargers.
It's not going to work.
I know. It may not, but I like the concept because I do feel that Herbert has pretty good vision, and I do feel he can hit all the zones. And if they set him up with enough run, which I feel Harbaugh is going to do, he may be able to be in that position because I agree. I think he's going to have to save him, to tell you the truth, because I don't think that's.
I just don't get why Justin Herbert hasn't taken off more. It doesn't make much sense to me. He could be like a tick down from Josh Allen. He's not as tough, but he's big and he's a much better athlete than I think anybody knows, truly. But he's not running. He's just not doing it. So
I think it's the way that he's being coached. And honestly, I never thought I'd say this, but I think he's been getting the shaft since Anthony Lynn got fired, to tell you the truth. I don't think anybody's been willing to let him develop into what he can be.
Hard to
Makes
argue.
Me mad. All right. Kev, thank you, buddy. Gary, as always, good to see you, pal. Baseball is getting close to getting a $1 billion contract. Will the NFL ever get there one day? I mean, what are they talking about, Dak? 60 mil?
Yeah, but in order to reach the $1 billion contract, you have to get the length. It's the 10-year contracts is why MLB is approaching that. Patrick got $500 million because he got the first 10-year contract. So unless those become more normal, no, they will not get to them because teams will get the 5-year from their rookies, and then they're typically 4 to 5 year contracts after that. And I don't see them getting 5 years, $1 billion. That's probably not going to happen.
No, I can't see that either. But I mean, in 100 years from now, sure. I don't know.
In 100 years,
the B word.
Are we playing football anymore?
We're playing zero grav is what we're doing, bro. I'm ready for that. Thank you, Gary. Good to see you. Yeah, right. Hey, let's see. I was gonna skip here because I thought I saw something else, but I clearly have messed it up. So back to Des. Which Super Bowl ring is your favorite, and can you rank each Super Bowl run? I just looked at them all the other day, and I gotta say, I mean, they're super cool, and the play really sold it for me on this one. But I think I still like the 19 season ring the best.
I don't care. I'll be very honest. I don't care about the rings. It's not. They're nice to look at. It's cool to have. I just don't care. It's so much money to produce them, and the fact that they basically throw money away in creating these rings is kind of ridiculous. So it more bothers me from a monetary standpoint than anything now, which is my wife's fault.
She's feeding that sensibility into you, huh? Okay, I get it.
Yes.
As something comes careening at Dad's head. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate you. Don't get called out like that. Adam, nice to see you, buddy. And I had a good trip to Toronto, so I didn't see any of the Chiefs fans up there. We'll figure that out next time I go up there. On a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about Worthy also going to my first game versus San Francisco in Week 7? That is a great choice, and I think you're going to have a great time.
Awesome.
Oh, well done. I would like a little video or a picture or two, buddy. I'm just going to say.
Something.
But on Worthy, where are you at on him right now, Dan?
I'm not worried. Personally, I'm not worried. Until he starts missing training camp days, I will not be worried because it's soft tissue stuff. Like I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I can't really know, but I do know that he was there every day. He was also doing camps with other players on the team. Something tells me it's more of just a huge precaution because he's a first-round pick, and they just don't want to push it when you don't need to. He's learning the playbook. He knows the playbook very well, according to all reports, that he's ahead of schedule in terms of what they expect from their rookies. So I'm not worried. I'd be worried if he was missing this stuff and they say, well, he's not where we expected him to be. That's where you start to have those red signals go off. You're like, okay, something's not happening right here.
Yeah, don't want to have that. So set him up for success. Take it easy with him. I'm totally with you. But hey, you picked the right game, Adam. I think you're going to have a blast.
It's awesome.
And Minotaur, nice to see you. And thank you for the memberships before. Everybody say thank you to Minotaur because he's
awesome.
helping me all out. And thanks for the support here, brother. I think it may be getting overlooked, but the competition for starting left T has never been more important. Mahomes will need time for those receivers to get downfield. And that's a very good point. The mechanics of letting your deep threats get there. Yes, it's 4.21 seconds. It still takes 4.21 seconds. We're not talking 2.5 and the ball's out. We're talking about holding until 3.5, maybe even 4. If you get the look that you're going to and you just want to let it open up, you got to let him hit his stride a little bit.
Oh, yeah. But the difference this year is that you don't have to wait 5 seconds for him to get to the 40-yard mark.
Okay, fair enough. I like the way you said that. Without pointing any fingers. Did I drop out there?
We had a little lapse in, I think, connectivity on both of our ends, but we should be okay now.
Well, I'll say thank you again to Minotaur, and we will go on to Bono, who's got questions about stuff that I don't know. Should LIV golfers be banned from the majors too? Cheered hard for Rory till he collapsed. I don't get the whole LIV thing. Is it just a money grab? Is that the reason they're jumping ship?
Well, yeah, they throw hundreds of millions of dollars at professional golfers. That's what the Saudis are doing. And they're just hoping that someone says yes. And a lot of did, which I don't blame them. It's 100 plus, actually, in most cases, it's close to $500 million. Okay. All right, fine. I'll go play golf over there. And okay, I get it. But I understand the not being happy with those players too. Like I fully understand it. But I disagree that live golfers should be banned from the majors too. Specifically because you're basically gatekeeping majors from the best players in the world. Okay, they're on a different tour. Fine, I get that, but the majors are supposed to be the toughest test in all of golf, course and player field combined. By not having the top Bryson or Rahm when he's healthy, and I mean some of the other players can't qualify, so that takes them out of contention. But when you don't have them in, it lessens the opportunity for it to be the best venue. So the fact that Brooks Koepka won the PGA Championship last year and Bryson DeChambeau won the U.S. Open this year shows that those players are still playing some of the best golf out there. So that's why I think that they should still be in contention, because they're showing that they are still in contention in these majors. Makes
sense. I'm all for competition. I don't know anything about what you just said, but I'm with you. Lucas Clemens, do you see the Chiefs see more too high this season because of the added speed with the wide receiver core? I hope so. That is the goal, right? But even that, it's about how you deploy those safeties, not that there's 2 of them back there, right? Because again, you can flood areas and responsibilities and break coverage rules. And that's what having 2 of these guys with this much speed is all about, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're just trying to make communication be a problem. And if they're getting back there really, really fast, because you guys are really, really fast, guess where's open? All that big intermediate parts of the field. It's all wide open.
We call that the Travis Kelce area now.
Yeah, exactly. And the Rashee Rice role. And the Rashee Rice area. Like, that's what those guys are going to be roaming.
Sean, thank you for gifting memberships. Jumping on the train, Minotaur. We appreciate you, dude, very much. And for those of you that are receiving those, give a shout out to the guys that are giving away. We appreciate it. And it's very cool to see. Cole was asking, what role do you guys see LRZ filling this squad? I feel like he's going to be RB3 and kick and punt return, man. Kick return, I'm definitely with you. I don't know if he's gonna. Is it? Wait, no, it's punt return, right? That's the new one, or is it kick return?
It's kick return.
He's gonna do one of them. I don't think he's gonna do both. Do you? Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think Worthy, from all understanding, that he'll be the punt returner.
Okay. On RB3, I think is a roll of the dice right now. Like Dan said, he's not getting a whole lot of reps. I've heard the same thing. But there's also not a lot of talent here. So particularly if Deneric Prince does not step forward, I don't know. You could until maybe they coax a jet out of the couch, is my thought.
It's possible. You never really know. If he can show that he can do it in practice, maybe you give him a shot, see what he's got. If he's going to be the specialist in return on both punt and kick, it lessens the load for a guy like Xavier Worthy, who, be honest, I want him on the field as an offensive playmaker, not a returner. So, yeah, see what you got.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. Use them both in the roles that help the team the most. Thanks, Cole. Good to see you, Ben. Any predictions on who the Chiefs beat in the upcoming Super Bowl? Do you have a gut feeling in there somewhere?
My gut feeling is it's going to be a rematch. There's a couple of teams on the NFC side that are going to be fun. I think the Lions are going to be fun still, and they're going to get back. I also think the Packers are very live to go deep in the postseason. I'm very interested in how that team looks, but top down, the 49ers are still, in my opinion, the best team in the NFC, and I think they're going to come out of it.
Okay. All right. I could see that too. And something about my gut just tells me that Baker might pull a rabbit out of his rear and put something together in Tampa. I don't know. The fact that he was able to draw Mike Evans back, something feels like there's something there.
Without Dave Canales, I don't think it's going to happen. I think that's why Baker was as good as he was last year. I don't believe it's him. I think it's the play calling.
Fair enough.
Scheme design.
It's weird. Well, yeah, either way. I don't know. There's just something there that's bugging me. Do you think Hollywood is for sure a one and done? Or do you see him catching the ring bug and taking a lesser deal to stay with Pat and Andy? It's a great question, Sean. I don't know. It feels like the plan is one and with an asterisk, hey, and maybe that does change it. If you were there, because where's he going to go? He could pull a juju and go play for a poorer team and go nowhere and make more money. But is that what you want to do? Or if he gets a taste of it, maybe it does change his mind. I don't know. What's your gut tell you?
Honestly, I'm inclined to say that they might change their tune if he stays healthy all year. Juju was not healthy near the end of the season.
True.
And it was very clear he wanted more money than the Chiefs were willing to bet on that knee. And guess what? They were right to do so. So if he gets nicked up the season, there's almost no shot that he comes back unless it is on a lesser deal or a similar kind of deal. So it all just is going to be really how the season goes. And if he meshes with the offense, which I think he's going to, you guys know that I've been a proponent of bringing him in since this season. We talked about wide receivers being here in 2024. I think he could be a long-term option. He's still going to be, 27 years old? I think he's 26 right now. Like, he's still very young, and it would be an ideal spot for him, in my opinion. Hopefully, that's what it does. The culture, the winning, it might help him out.
Let's hope so. I'm looking forward to it if it does. Mike, nice to see you, pal. If the linebacker struggle is here in play and the depth you guys think will they re-sign Willie in the offseason? He only had a 1-year deal with the Saints. I mean, if there's a serious struggle, I have trouble seeing that, but like it would probably take an injury to either Bolton or Tranquil to precipitate that. I think it's a long shot is what I'll say.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think that they have their incumbent to replace Willie Gay. It'll be cheaper, and he should produce a lot of the same results, at least by all accounts. What we saw in week 17 was no joke. It was no accident. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
Cam Jones is pretty good.
Yeah. And I'm hoping he can take a step forward. He's another guy that I'll be watching really closely in camp. Cole, if we had to let either Creed or Trey walk next offseason, which one would be easier to replace? I'd like to see us retain both. I agree with you on the retaining both. I have my opinion, but you might disagree with me. What do you think?
So I know that the Chiefs are not known for signing centers. I believe that Creed Humphrey will be signed. He's the best center in football now that Jason Kelce is retired. And you don't just roll the dice on best players at their position. They paid Chris Jones. They wanted to pay Tyreek Hill. Let's be honest. They wanted to. They offered him a contract, turned it down, and they've restructured Travis Kelce's contract. Like obviously Patrick Mahomes got his. The only difference here is that L'Jarius Sneed did not get paid in Kansas City. He went elsewhere and got paid. That's the one-off here in this situation. I think the offensive identity is more important to the Chiefs than everything else. And it's clear to me that they think they can get a defense around Chris Jones and what they have and the players that they have. And I think that Creed Humphrey, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, those players are what they want. And I think that he's going to get signed. And I don't think that Trey is going to, but to replace, the answer is Trey Smith, bar none. He's easier to replace than Creed Humphrey.
Yeah, absolutely. The only wrinkle in that is, yes, he's easier to replace, but the guard market and the cap numbers are crazy right now. So in terms of chunk of cap you have to get over, it's not as easy as it was. So I agree with you, Cole. I think they should be making a push to keep those guys together, keep that side of the ball strong. That's what I would be doing.
The problem comes because of those contracts on the guard side. You're going to have to pay Trey Smith a lot of money, and you don't want to do that if you're Kansas City and pay Creed Humphrey. You're probably going to want to find an in-house solution.
Yeah, and there's 3 of them. There you go. Bucker contract expiring. If Jay Reed takes over the kickoff duty, do you think that affects how much the Chiefs offer and increase the likelihood he walks for more money elsewhere? I don't think the kickoff duties have much to do with it. I think they're going to make an offer, and if Harrison is to the point where he feels he needs to get a giant payday to finish out his career, set himself and his family up for the rest of his life, I think it'll all be about that versus rings. My gut tells me that Harrison Bucker takes less to stay here because that's what it feels like he wants to do.
That makes sense.
Okay. Well, then you explain this one, and I'll agree with you. Oh, wait. I just want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Thank you. Appreciate you, Lonnie. So take Lonnie's other question. Sorry, I had them backwards.
All right.
Where are you on this?
All right, Lonnie. So how confident are we in each position for this coming season? I think there really is only one question in terms of confidence, and it's defensive tackle not named Chris Jones. I just don't know where the Chiefs are at there specifically. I know that the scheme for cornerback is going to be fine, so I'm not like super worried about that. I'm still pretty confident they can get the job done. And everywhere else, I feel really, really good, even with the running back situation the way it is. Isaiah Pacheco is Isaiah, and they get enough out of them and both him and Clyde that I'm not super worried about the running back. It's just the defensive tackle position not named Chris Jones. So overall, I'm feeling very confident with where this team is right now.
I feel pretty good about that as well. I'm a little less confident in the running backs, I gotta say. If Pops should do something, I'm concerned at that point. But it ain't over till it's over. And there, like I said, I don't know that the room is complete, Lonnie. So we'll see what happens come camp. Des, do you think McDuffie will get extended after this year since Veach doesn't extend CBs? He will only be 26 in the last year of his rookie. L'Jarius Sneed proves that McDuffie is more the outlier than the rule. So I do think they try to extend him as early as possible and try to get it done. Even though they've been so successful, I do think that they want him as an anchor. That's what I would want.
It seems like it because of his versatility, and I think that he doesn't have to press on the outside to be successful. That would be my area of wanting to keep him as long as you want because he can do so many different things. I love L'Jarius Sneed. He had a contract year, and he balled out when he went and got paid. Good for him. That's great. He's also dealing with some injury stuff, and the Chiefs didn't want to pay that long term, which I totally understand. So my concern is everywhere else. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. I had the whole Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson breakdown from a few weeks ago. You can go check that out to tell you what these players are good at and what they're not good at. But at the end of the day, I do think that Trent McDuffie is also going to get extended. The cap's going up. We know that. And we're talking again about Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Trent McDuffie landing on that as well. Like, this is all going to add up at some point. You're going to have to make some decisions, and that's why I continue to go back to Trey Smith not being extended because of other players on the roster that seemingly deserve it more.
And hell, George Karlaftis is in there too. You're going to see that come up as well. So, Des, we will see how camp goes and see what happens.
Appreciate you, Des.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. We're going to wrap it up here, folks. Make sure that you get over at PXG and get yourself a fitting if you want to get into that. Use our code RGR. It will definitely help you. If you are trying to become a golfer, or you are, make sure you check out their stuff. I got a Father's Day gift that's going to help me in the golf game as well. So we're going to get after it here pretty quick. Some reports came out this guy had an average to below average OTA in mini camp. What's his future? His future is sitting on the fence of whether he makes this roster or not.
I haven't even seen the reports of him having a below average OTA. Like, I haven't seen it. So I don't know, man. Just at the end of the day, what he does in training camp, or what anyone does in training camp with the pads on, will determine how you survive this year, if you do it all.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you. We'll wrap it here on Jerome. Nice to see you back, Jerome. How is Joe Tooney recovering? Is he back? From every report that I've heard, whether public or not, he's making a good progression. But they had the opportunity to come out and say he's going to be good for training camp, and they didn't. They say he's going to be good for week 1 is the announcement they made. That has me a little bit nervous. Maybe I read too much in between the lines. What do you think of that?
The Chiefs are very intentional about the way they talk about these things. I would bet you right now, he's not on the field most of training camp in July. You don't bet to see him in training camp. The Chiefs won't risk it because, again, they've said week 1's their target. So training camp, preseason mean nothing. If he's on the field in week 1, then everything's okay. But if leading up to that, well, it's day to day. Just remember, Andy Reid and the Chiefs are very intentional and also deceptive when it comes to injuries. They don't tell anybody anything at all. So we won't know until week 1 at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah. Last shotgun question. Ozzy had a good one. Do they keep 4 tight ends? I think yes. You?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's where we're at, folks. Happy Monday. Thanks for the questions. You ran a great show. Very much appreciate you.
Yeah, it was great. You guys did a great job.
We've got something cool coming tomorrow. Dan's breakdown on Wednesday and all of our normal stuff. I'm going to be on the road a little bit, so you might see me from a different locale, but it'll be all right. So then we'll be back next week. We'll start looking at position battles, what the breakdowns look like and that kind of thing. We'll go over the film and the stats as always, but keep it here. Thank you for your support. We're rolling into another season here on RGR and another possibility at a Super Bowl run. So, hey, there's a lot to cover. Dan, it's been fun getting to this summer point where we can relax a little bit because, good God, it's going to get busy.
It absolutely is. And I'm here for it. I know you guys are here for it, and you wouldn't be here if you didn't want to talk about the Chiefs and see what they're going to do here in the training camp. And we're almost here. Less than a month away. Training camp is right around the corner. I can't wait.
Oh, man, it's going to be great. Have a wonderful night tonight. We will see you tomorrow and all week long. Thanks for hanging in with us. And for all of you members and supporters and super chatters, thank you again. Can't thank you enough. Have a great one. We'll talk to you tomorrow.